What's up, you guys? I went back to 1789 and was really curious about some information about the transatlantic slave trade. And I found some goods. Now, this was written by an abolitionist, W. Smith, in the newspapers. W. Smith actually documented how the Europeans went about creating trouble within peaceful African groups and the reason why Europeans did it. I also printed out another interesting part of the article on how African kings wanted certain things from Europeans, and so this is what drove them to go out and start wars so they can supply slaves to the Europeans for certain commodities. I'm going to take a quick snapshot of the articles and then I'll read, okay? Hopefully this doesn't have to be two parts. This first one is about the hostility, how Europeans created hostility. Mr. W. showed in a strong point of view the cruelty of those who were engaged in this inhumane traffic. He particularly instanced the affair of Calabar on the African coast, where two villages, having been at war for some time, at length made peace, which was to have been celebrated by intermarriages. This, he said, was defeated by the machinations or plots of those who, interested in the slave trade, considered that by their amity, the peace between the African nations, the slave trade would be injured, the consequence of which was that our people again sowed dissension between the villages, set one against the other, fought alternatively for each, and massacred and enslaved the inhabitants of both. So basically, what you see is an abolitionist telling what exactly happened in 1789. Whenever African nations made peace, that was a threat to what Europeans wanted to do. So they whispered in the ears of one, they whispered in the ears of another. And both sides honestly thought that, hey, we have a friend. In reality, the Europeans were playing both against each other. This led to more massacres and enslavements. I'm going to have to talk about the next article in another video because I have somewhere to go. But there's so much tea in these old newspapers. I mean, there is so much tea. Just tea everywhere.